Hi, this is Ren.
This is Casey.
And this is All Walks of Film. This is our second review of Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Which we're terrible, terrible film students because instead of seeing any of the other films that will probably be nominated for Oscars, we just saw The Force Awakens again. But to be fair, we saw it for free, so how do you pass that up?
Yeah, and the reason why we saw it for free is because we were going to do a Hateful Eight review, but unfortunately the projection fucked up. And
Which, to be fair, okay, first of all, it's understandable because we were going to go to the 70mm roadshow, Panavision viewing, all this stuff. Fantastic. So we get there. Oh, the projector doesn't work because it's a specialty projector and it's a theater that doesn't do that. Fine. We get a guy yelling in the theater, "It's Tarantino's fault for filming on 70mm." It's like, so why did you go to the 70mm showing? And then, okay, everybody was pissed. People were like, this is such an inconvenience. Am I going to be reimbursed for my concessions? Blah, 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 blah. But they were going to give us, rain check tickets and a full refund. What's the big deal? So we're standing in line, waiting to get our reimbursement because we already got our rain check tickets. Awesome. And then the guy in front of us, seriously, I am not joking, is like, so I paid all this money to come see this movie, and the movie didn't work out, and I paid all this money for concessions. I'm going to take my full $8 bucket of popcorn, throw it on the ground like Lonely Island, and say, fuck this, and not get my refund. That'll show the theater. I'm going to let them keep all that money they made off of me. Yeah, that'll really show them. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, you asshole? Are you serious right now? Oh my god, I can't believe how pissed people were.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So instead, please don't put spoilers in the comments. We are going to watch it tomorrow at the Music Box in Chicago, which is having a
Built
special...
for that.
yeah, it's having a special engagement. And while it might not be the Alamo Drafthouse, it's probably the best theater on in the Midwest.
Yes, but to be fair, the Alamo Drafthouse is another, direct hit into my slot of my state being less shitty than yours.
Well, yeah, I make no concessions for my state.
Well, the other thing, too, is we can't play who's from a better state. We just play who's from a less shitty state. That's about the best we can do. So anyway, we saw Star Wars 2 again, basically specifically to do this review. And,
you mean Star Wars The Force Awakens again?
What did I say?
Star Wars 2?
Yeah, but we saw it for a second time.
Yeah.
We saw Star Wars. That's
okay.
what I was thinking in my head. So we saw Star Wars 7 for a second time. Basically to do this, and there's some stuff I'm going to take back, and there's some stuff I'm going to really hold to.
Yeah, and I'm the same way.
Okay. So, to start off with, I'm simultaneously going to rescind some of my problems with Rey and also stick to those same problems with Rey because she specifically says, I said before she's never flown before because I got the impression that when she's sitting by the Tauntaun and puts on the little helmet and she's dreaming about the thing, I picture that being a daydream, that's what she wants to do. And since she's a scavenger, in my mind I had put it together that she had never flown before, so how the fuck is she as good of a pilot as Han Solo? To be fair, she specifically says, I've flown a few times before, but never off planet. So she knows how to fly. But I'm still going to hold to it that it makes no fucking sense that she's never been off planet and she's still as good a pilot as Han Solo. What the fuck? I get that she can be a mechanic because she's a scavenger. She scavenged for parts. She takes things apart. She has to know what they're worth to sell them. She gets how things work. She's a self-taught mechanic. I can get that. I will buy that. 100%. I am not gonna buy that she knows her way around 5 different star vessels because she's able to and to be fair, she does make a couple mistakes. She lets the monster thingies out. That's something because she pushes the wrong thing because she doesn't know what she's doing. But at the same time, she's immediately able to go to the little security camera thing, put in the specific code in order to close the one specific door at the right time. That was on the Han and Chewie's little picker-upper thing. She knows how to fly the Millennium Falcon and how to get around the compressor, which even Han Solo doesn't even know how to fucking do, but she's a mechanic, so I can buy that. Then she knows how to get around the fucking Mega Death Star. She knows how to get around the fucking Mega Death Star. What the fuck? And I don't mean like physically. I mean like she knows how to get inside stuff and make stuff open and things.
Well, actually, it was not the Mega Death Star.
It's totally
the
Mega Death
Star Killer Base. Get it right?
No, I'm going to call it the Mega Death Star because even in the movie, they're like, so it's a bigger Death Star.
Yeah.
They even say that in the movie. So it's bigger. It's a Death Star. No, this is the Death Star. This is the new Death Star. So it's bigger. Like, come on. It's a Mega Death Star. We all fucking know it.
But it, like, draws energy from the sun and then, like, shoots out.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that's really the only difference. It's not a self-contained thing. Like, it actually has to draw energy after it.
Right. And that's cool. And I'm fine with that. And I'm even fine with the idea of a Mega Death Star. But I'm not going to not call it a Mega Death Star.
It's fair enough.
Just saying. The other thing, too, that I'm going to I'm going to fix, but I'm also going to stick to what my original point. So I get this time that when Rey and Kylo have their mind battle, she is seeing into his mind, which is part of the reason why he unmasked himself in front of her, was because this big moment where they have this mind battle connection is really going to be the basis for the rest of the trilogy. So I can get that it was important for him to unmask himself in front of her, for them to really get into each other's brains, because that's the point. When she gets into his brain, it is 100% possible that since he is so trained in the Force and she isn't, that's how she knows that she can do the Jedi mind trick. Maybe she learned it from going into his mind and seeing into his mind, because she's like, you're afraid that you're not going to be like Darth Vader. Like, how the fuck would she know that unless she was really getting in there? So maybe that's how she knows how to do the Jedi mind trick. Maybe. And I'm going to come back to my problem with that in a second. I still think that's kind of a stretch, but maybe. Okay, sure. And then there's the big fight with her and Kylo. I can see this time that at the beginning of the fight, she's barely defending herself. She's not really using any real skill or tactics. I wish they emphasized that a lot more, how much she was struggling just to, like, not get slashed in half. And maybe the reason why she was eventually able to beat him is because he's using the Force to keep his wound shut and to, like, really literally hold himself together, because that's kind of what it looked like. You know, when he's beating his chest, he's probably, like, really focusing on, like, don't fucking die right now. So I can kind of buy that. But then she just closes her eyes and thinks about the Force, and then all of a sudden she's perfect and amazing. Like, what the hell? So I'm still gonna call bullshit on that for sure.
Right, and also, Luke had, you know, a much stronger progression throughout the films. It wasn't just like you magically are able to do this stuff. Like, he had struggles and stuff. And Rey is just like, wow, I can do this, I can do that. You know, I know how to do the Jedi mind trick, which Luke couldn't do in The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And they didn't even show him actually do... No, he did actually do that in Return of the Jedi because he tricked Bib Fortuna. But, you know, it took him 2 movies to do that, and, like, Rey's able to do it in the first movie, and that's, like, her first Force power that she's able to do. Okay. So there's that. But, yeah, I mean, like, throughout the film, yeah, she struggles with the Millennium Falcon at the beginning, but then she's able to somehow navigate it inside a Star Destroyer.
Right. Like, I really wish... Like, you kind of see her bump around a little bit, but I really wish that she fucked up a lot more, especially at the beginning, where she's navigating it, like, she's using it alone. 100% alone without a co-pilot when it's not even built that way.
Right, and it's weird because it's like, so somehow she understands the strength of the Force, because this is what the movie is essentially trying to tell us, that somehow she is so strong with the Force, she is literally using the strength of the Force to navigate through that. But to be fair, if you're going to go with full canon, that's essentially what Anakin Skywalker did in The Phantom Menace with the pod racer, and then with the Starfighter. Which is interesting also because I noticed it this time. I didn't notice it the time before, but man, does Daisy Ridley look a lot like Jake Lloyd.
Which is funny because I was telling you before, like, nobody who's related to each other in any of these movies looks like they're related at all. Like I was telling you that your idea that Finn could be related to Lando Calrissian, my issue is that they look nothing alike. But Luke and Leia look nothing alike, and Luke and Leia look nothing like Anakin or Natalie Portman's character, and none of them, and not Han either, look anything like fucking Kylo Ren. So the only two people that look even a little bit similar are literally impossible to be related to each other. We hope.
Well, given the fact that there's a line said, the Force is strong in my family. You know, my father has it, I have it, my sisters have it, you have that power too, signifies that she's somehow a part of the Skywalker
No, but
family.
I told you last time that we don't know that that line is aimed at her. I truly believe that that line is supposed to be aimed at Kylo Ren, and that Luke Skywalker is going to have to come out of his weird retirement thing that he got from Yoda to go out and convert Kylo to the light. Especially since he's still having this issue with the light. Especially since that was Han's last mission, his best bud, and that's what Leia really wants, his sister. So now that he's going to be reintroduced back into society, that's probably going to become his new mission. And he might totally say that to, he might either totally say that to Kylo coming up, or we might see, like a flashback to when he was training Kylo. And during their training together, he said this to Kylo.
Yeah.
And that's possible.
So, I have a lot of speculation about...
Okay, but just before we get into that, just to wrap up on Rey real quick. I still think that... Okay, she gets looked down a lot for being a scavenger scum. You know, and the part where she's scavenging and she's really foraging and she's trying hard and it's difficult for her is much more interesting than anything fucking else where she becomes Superman and everything's perfect and awesome. No, I don't believe that an uneducated, orphaned, lonely person who has never been off her planet is somehow a brilliant mechanic and a brilliant pilot and has the Force and is a super powerful Jedi and has complete control over it.
Yeah,
no way.
And I even stated my issue with the fact that the actress had a heavy, educated British accent, which, I mean,
she's too... You can be intelligent and be uneducated, but she's knowledgeable. You can't really be knowledgeable and be uneducated. In things like mechanics and piloting.
Yeah.
You can't have just zero training in that and pick it up and be awesome.
And watching it a second time, I don't see the movie giving me that information, especially since she was taken as a young girl that we see in the flashback.
She's pretty young. She's like 5 or 6.
Yeah, so, you know, there's no way for her to get that kind of education unless there's some kind of, like, you know, way for her to get it on the internet or whatever they use.
I get you.
But
so I do have to fall back a little bit. I loved her so much originally, and I love her backstory, and I love her when she's on Jakku. And after that, I lose interest.
Jakku, totally not Tatooine.
Just Tatooine 2. Tatooine 2.0. Yeah. That's fine, though. I liked her when she was reenacting the whole Luke Skywalker storyline, but the reason why I liked Luke so much was because he had these humble beginnings, and he was a hard worker, and he had to keep at it, and he had to keep working hard. And she's just, boom. And it's too convenient, and it makes me lose interest in her as a character when she's just like, I can perfectly do everything, guys.
Also, the costume design is very parallel to Luke's costume. It's like a somewhat feminine. It's a somewhat feminized version of, you know, a feminized, not sexualized version of Luke's outfit.
Right, but I was really disappointed with the way that they changed her costume.
That is kind of paralleling Luke's costume.
No, I love her original costume, but then I really don't like the costume she wears at the end. Where they like really play up all of the elements that they played down originally.
I don't think so. I mean, I think you're looking a little too into it for that one.
Well, to be fair, the reason why I noticed it was I was kind of like, ooh, nice butt. And then I started looking at it, I was like, wow, they did a lot to really accentuate how nice her butt was. They really did. They put her in like these tight pants, and they put her in a little vest that like cinches in at the waist and then flares out to really like hug on her hips. And then I thought for a second that she was wearing the same shirt she was wearing before because it's cut the same, but I noticed the little V is actually slit a lot further down so you can see her cleavage now, and I'm like,
You
what
can't
the
see her
fuck?
cleavage.
Dude, you can totally see her cleavage when she's coming up the stairs, and you never could before. And to be fair, I was half enjoying it because she's pretty, but at the same time, I was just kind of like, why did you just like change everything about her original
But also,
costume?
to be fair, when Mark Hamill was on Dagobah, he's like practically, he's got the stuff like really close to his shirt, and he's like shirtless in half the movie. So I mean,
Yum.
that's the closest we'll probably get to a sexualization of this character.
No, I know, and it's not like, oh my god, this is an issue and it's problematic, but I'm just kind of like, why?
Whatever.
Okay, part of it is that costume design is one of my things. I enjoy costume design, probably more than most people, so I'm not going to say like, fuck this movie for that, but I'm just kind of like, design-wise, why did you really change that? So anyway, not the point. My main point that I think is bigger is that if this big moment between Rey and Kylo is really going to be this big thing that's like the rest of the trilogy is predicated on, this really establishes their connection with each other. They're really getting into each other's minds. I really wanted to get into it because I meant to say this last time and I lost my train of thought and I didn't say it. But the part where she has the vision when she touches the lightsaber, I loved it. It was like really kind of mind trippy and it felt very dreamlike, and it was cool to get into her brain and to see bits of the future and bits of the past, and I really liked that. Why didn't you do that again with their connection with each other so you could really establish she learned all this shit from somebody who's educated in the Force? She is really getting into his brain. He's really getting into her brain. That could have made that scene have a lot more impact and be a lot more powerful. But there are so many things that I wish were emphasized in this film that are totally glossed over. Like her struggles later in the film are there, but like you don't really notice it. And this could have been a great moment to do something really different but new and not like fucking the prequels, That would have been so cool.
Also, when she gets her lightsaber, it's very similar to, they're drawing parallels to the cave in The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke fights Darth Vader, cuts his head off, and then it revealed to be his head.
Yeah.
But what makes me curious about this is when she touches the lightsaber, she has visions and everything, which has never happened before in any of the Star Wars things. I mean, it might have happened in one of the expanded universe stories, but it's not happened in official canon. And right now, I'm only talking about official canon because the books are... Aftermath apparently is actual canon, and if there's anything else that's actual canon now, and not part of the expanded universe that's getting thrown out, let me know. But I was unsure whether that was supposed to be a parallel to the cave, like that there was actual powers to that, or whether she was literally connected with the Force that she could have visions with the lightsaber, which I'm gonna kind of call bullshit on, because why wouldn't Luke have that? Unless Luke actually wasn't the chosen one, and that's what Yoda was talking about in Empire Strikes Back when
that
he
there
said...
is another.
Exactly.
Well,
And he did say there is another
another
Skywalker, which doesn't necessarily mean that is Princess Leia, even though Princess Leia is another Skywalker. That could signify that, Rey is part of that too. Because, it's confusing though, because the movies will have a lot to explain, and obviously we have 2 more movies to do that with, but it's confusing if that is the case and if that's like what it's leading to. Well, technically speaking, if you include the prequels, Darth Vader did not have Anakin Skywalker did not have a father. He was literally created by the Force, or Darth Plagueis or whatever.
Have you heard of the third sibling theory?
Oh yeah, because there isn't a fucking comma or something like that. Then
because there's not a comma in the opening crawl to denote. The reason why is because grammatically, the name Luke is superfluous since everybody knows that Leia only has one brother. So with superfluous information, you put the comma before and after. But since it's specified and it doesn't have those commas, it leads to this idea that, oh, maybe there is another brother. Maybe Vader, after he turned into Darth Vader, hooked up with another chick once and she popped out a kid and there's like a third Skywalker running around somewhere. But I don't see that happening, especially physically. I think it's a lot more likely that if anything freaking happened, well, I don't think that there would be like a third Skywalker sibling, but I think if there's any possible way that Rey is supposed to be related by blood to Luke Skywalker, Luke probably had a lover back when and didn't know that she was pregnant and she abandoned his kid on Tatooine too. But I hope that doesn't happen because it's kind of convoluted and also is really shitty. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I really fucking hope that's not the case. That would suck.
Right. Going on to Finn. Let's talk about Finn again.
Okay. Yeah. I still really like Finn as a character. He's just so endearing. He has fear. He has real fear, and he gets like overworked really easily. He gets really excited and caught up in stuff super quick, and he's very easy to trust other people, and he's a lot of fun to be around.
He's kind of the audience surrogate, you know. He's that character that, you know, if you haven't seen any of the Star Wars films, this is the character to, you know, get you into the film. Right,
but I like seeing a male character who's more openly emotional. And he's just a lot of fun to be around. I genuinely enjoy being around him. But that being said, he has the exact same problem that Rey has, where he starts out with all these moral implications in this really dark story, and then I still hold to it that it's fucking weird that he thinks that it's evil to kill a group of people on Jakku and then turn around and point blank murder everybody he ever grew up with.
Yeah. And we noticed this time that
and he goes, woohoo! And cheers on the whole fucking time. And it's creepy to compare side by side. Yeah. Seriously, side by side. The scene where he holds his comrade in arms and watches him die and has his blood on his armor.
Who was killed by Poe.
Who was killed by Poe. Exactly. Who was killed by Poe, who he later becomes friends with. Compare that scene side by side to the scene where he just goes up and straight fucking lightsabers through the chest one of his comrades. Like that. So if you compare those two scenes side by side, it's just like, what the fuck? I mean, to be fair, this was a screenplay written by 3 different people, and that's what it feels like. It feels like somebody really tried to bring a lot of morality into play, especially with Kylo being conflicted and in pain over being drawn to the light side but wanting to feed on the power of the dark side, and you have a humanized stormtrooper, you know, and you have like a you know, the really scrappy character who has to physically and mentally deal with her upbringing, and then you just kind of turn around and make it too easy for the rest of the movie. You can't go dark like that and then go back to, oh, but it's fun and campy, you guys.
I think that was probably a studio executive decision made by Disney heads saying, we can't make the movie too dark because, you know, it's Star Wars, it's fun. We can do that with the next movie.
But you don't have to have him...
If you really want to parallel with Empire Strikes Back, this next movie better be fucking dark.
But every time that you see Finn go like, woohoo! He's murdering his own kind.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
It's super fucked up. Like, yeah, I really don't...
I really hope that they address it in the next movie as a problem. Because within the context of the film, not, you know, some fucking reviewer, but like actually within the context of the film. Maybe that might be a signifier that like Finn actually is, you know, having his own struggle. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he holds a lightsaber in this movie might signify that he becomes a Jedi too. Like this whole idea of this,
he holds it more than Rey does.
Right. And the fact that the whole idea of this film is, you know, the title of the film is The Force Awakens, which means that it might be possible that people outside of the Skywalker family and outside of, you know, the Wrens or the, Snoke and Palpatine and, the Order of the Jedi before, it might be possible that other people have connections with the Force. I mean, the Force is around everything. It moves everything. And that's something that George Lucas apparently fucking forgot when he made the prequel trilogy. And now that you put it in the hands of people that are truly fans of Star Wars, you can actually start incorporating some of the stuff that Lucas brought up and then just forgot about in the prequels.
Right. He
really needed a continuity person.
Oh my god, he just needed a fanboy to like sit next to him and help it. He really shouldn't have written them. He didn't want to. He shouldn't have had to. Because look at what happened.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it. Some people like it, but objectively, those movies are bad. Like I can argue just from a technical level, from a storytelling level. I mean, technically, there's some very interesting things done with the prequels, specifically, the Darth Maul fight and some of the stuff in Revenge of the Sith. But I mean, other than that, it's just, it's all over the place. It's totally inconsistent. The acting is terrible, even though you have wonderful actors like Liam Neeson and Natalie Portman, and they're acting like fucking robots.
Well, yeah, I blame that on direction.
Yeah, exactly. Which, George Lucas said himself, he's a better editor and producer than director.
Yeah, I believe that.
And he should have stayed with that because he directed Star Wars for the original ones. And then he had...
the original one.
Yeah, the original one. The original Star Wars A New Hope. And then he had Irvin Kershner direct The Empire Strikes Back, and it was like Rupert something, like Robert... I forget who wrote... who directed Jedi, but...
Going back to Finn for a second, part of what I want to point out is you might be like, oh, well, maybe Finn just didn't like them. But compare how he talks to, like, Captain Phasma when he gets the chance. He's just like, oh, yeah, I'm in the power now. What you gonna do now? And it's adorable, and I love that scene. That scene's great. But, like, compare that to him shooting her point blank in the face.
Yeah.
That's entirely fucking different.
And then Han Solo's like, you got a trash compactor? And he's like, yeah. And like the whole audience is like, oh, we know
what's
this.
happening.
Yeah.
But even still, like, imagine, I'm sure everybody has had a time in middle school or high school where you just fucking hated everybody you were with, or they fucking hated you, whatever. But imagine, like, I know this is really dark to bring up nowadays in America, but, like, seriously, this is what it's like. Imagine you go there every day, and you know all these people, and you might not like them very much, but whatever, you'll deal with them. And then one day you're just like, I'm not gonna do this anymore, and you blow the whole fucking place up. That's seriously how dramatic it is, and they just want to brush it off like it's nothing, and that just doesn't fit his personality, and it's fucked up.
Well, to be fair, this might be paralleling the Valkyrie, the Operation Valkyrie, which, Star Wars has always had Nazi parallels.
Of course.
And Project Valkyrie was a secret project conducted by Nazi officers to overthrow and kill Hitler.
But that's one person.
Well, no, that was a group of people. That was a conspiracy.
No, Hitler.
Yeah.
Hitler is a person. They didn't try to blow up the entire... They didn't try to get the entire Nazi army into a room and blow up everybody.
Well, they were trying to actually put the highest officials there, too.
Okay, but that's the highest officials. That is not every Nazi on the ground floor.
Well, and
that's who Finn is killing at point-blank range. That's who he's just fucking lightsabering in the chest and killing with laser guns, It's one thing when he gets, like, all excited because he blew up the cannons. I get that. But, like...
To be fair, there is a psychological explanation for this, and they've actually talked about this with Star Wars, with the earlier Star Wars. When you wear a helmet or when you wear a mask, it becomes easier to take on the persona of a killer.
But he's not wearing a mask when he does it.
Same thing going. It's easier to kill somebody wearing a mask or, having something obstructing their face than it is to kill a person in point blank range.
No, but,
or
okay, but for
stab
example,
them or
no. But for example, I could believe what you're telling me right now if Poe becomes friends with Finn and Poe turns around and starts killing all these stormtroopers because he's humanized Finn, but all these other stormtroopers are not humanized. Finn knows these people. He has grown up with these people. He's trained with them. He probably knows what they're like without their helmets. He probably knows every single one of their names. And he can understand the gravity of it when they die. We've established that in that first scene. But he just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. And apparently they all know him without his helmet, too.
Right. Everybody knows who the fuck he is. So I just think it was really bad writing. That's all I can boil it down to, is because that just makes his character completely inconsistent. And at best, just a fucked up sociopath, but I don't even see that. He's just, he's too overly emotional. And that's great. I love that. But then there's just like this other thing that I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, it's problematic.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I am not going to be somebody who's like, oh, but violence is always bad. I mean, I do appreciate it when, like, people try to point out, like, in real life or in a realistic way. I get it. But I'm not going to be the person who's like, it was bad in the original trilogy. In the original trilogy, I can understand your need for black and white. That's fine. I will accept that, and that is fine, and it's fun, and it's campy. But you can't introduce the gravity of the moralities at play here and then just go back to the campiness. That's my issue. You made it dark, you made it serious, and that's cool, and then you just want to take it back and, like, pretend like it's not an issue? Fuck that.
I'm really hoping that they address this in some way in the next two films.
Yeah. But, there were a couple things that I liked more. I liked Kylo's character a lot more this time. I still think it was really questionable casting, and not because the actor didn't do a good job. I just don't think he's the right fit.
Yeah, Adam Driver is like a really weird looking actor, period.
Right. It's because all of his features are very strong.
Yeah.
He doesn't have balanced features, which is
like,
fine.
The reason why he has the big poofy hair is because, like, look at him without the poofy hair. His ears are like Yoda. But, like, they really stand out.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to say, like, oh, somebody needs to be a great-looking character for me to like them. It's just, I think he did the best performance he could, and I can see that he was giving a lot. I just don't think it was the right, I just don't think he's the right actor.
Yeah, and, I mean...
It is partly distracting that he looks nothing like any of his family, though. That's really weird.
Yeah, he doesn't look like Carrie Fisher, he doesn't look like Mark Hamill, and he doesn't look like Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess kind of in the nose, maybe.
Not really at all. Like, and his mom, I'm not gonna like start nitpicking, but like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that his hair color and his eye color and his skin complexion, it's the furnace.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. None of that is consistent with any of the rest of the family, and it's like really obvious that it's just kind of weird. But I'm starting to like the character a lot more now because, like I said before,
the implications. Yeah,
the implications are there. I just wish they were emphasized more so you could get it on. Well, I could have gotten it on my first run through. I'm sure some people did, but his whole speech, I caught the whole speech obviously with his dad, where he's like, this pain inside. But last time, I don't know why, I just didn't get the whole thing where he was saying, like, I want the guidance, I want to be more in touch with the dark side, but I feel like I'm being drawn into the light, and he's gonna have, like, this issue of he doesn't know what side to be on, and he's unbalanced in terms of how he feels about being on the light side or the dark side, and I think that's going to be more at the forefront going forward, and that's I want to see more of that because that's what I liked a lot. But I also think it's really interesting that you have a character who is so strong with the Force, and I think part of why is because he started his training with Luke to be drawn into the light side. So he has that element to his actual training, and then he started training more with Snoke to learn more of the powers of the dark side. And that might be why he has such power, like he is so strong with the Force, is because he has both of these elements at play with him. And I want to see a lot more of that. That's going to be like super, super cool.
Right. So I have a couple theories that I'm going to throw out, and these are crackpot theories. I mean, they could be bullshit.
Right.
But I have a couple theories. A couple are about Snoke, and a couple are about like Kylo's training and such. And a couple are, about Finn and such. I mean, I'll throw the Finn out right away. I think he's Lando Calrissian's son. Even though he doesn't look like Billy D. Williams, I do think that would be a nice plug-in. That would be a nice inclusion to have in the second movie, which...
well, I think
Billy D. Williams was in the second Star Wars movie, if you count the original trilogy being, Yeah.
Right, and that would work because he was taken from birth, and he doesn't know who his family is. They especially emphasize that these human clones are trained from birth. They are not test tube babies. So they all have come from like some sort of home or parentage or whatever. So it's entirely possible, and I don't think it's wrong for you to like make that inference, since that's what they're doing with the other characters. They're making like these really solid connections that, Kylo Ren is very specifically attached to Darth Vader. He's very specifically attached to Han Solo and very specifically attached to Luke and Leia. And then you have Rey, who is strongly attached to them, but we don't really know how yet, but they'll get into it, I guess. And she's also connected to Obi-Wan, because you hear his voice in the vision that she has. So you're making these really strong connections where everybody's plugged in, and it would be really odd if you had a protagonist who is just kind of floating out there and is not like tethered to another major character like that. So I think that would be fine. And also, I really want to see Lando again. I love Lando. Oh my god. Watching the original trilogy again, I got so upset when like it looked like he was going to be the bad guy. So I was like, but I like him so much. I don't want to hate this guy. And then when he's like, I'm really sorry I did that to you guys, but I'm going to get you out of it now. I was like, oh, thank God. I can like you again. Yay. I love Lando. He's so likable. He's kind of smarmy around Leia. Like, he's kind of like Sanji from One Piece, where I like him as long as he's not around women that he's into. But then as soon as he's around chicks, I'm just like, ew, go away, stop.
Yeah. All right, so getting into my theory about Snoke, there have been a lot of theories tossed on the internet, and I'm sure many of you have read them. Some are that Snoke is Darth Plagueis, who, apparently, had the ability to create life, and there's some implication in Revenge of the Sith that Darth Plagueis is his father. Apparently in the original script, Emperor Palpatine was supposed to be the father, and that would have carried on the family dynamic. None of these have actually been confirmed as far as the movie canon is concerned, but the implications are there. I understand books do not count because, as we see with the expanded universe that got, taken away with this new trilogy that's coming out, we don't know. That being said, I mentioned in our first review that we did that Darth Plagueis seems to be hiding something. And we said because of the hologram that he's probably actually small. Mm-hmm. I am now going to make the assertion that he might not actually be a he and might actually be a she. Yes, I am making the assertion that...
Captain Phasma?
No.
Oh, that would be really cool.
I'm actually going to make the assertion that that Snoke might actually be Maz. And the relation with Luke Skywalker and Maz, they basically told Kylo Ren, this is the big twist, like the I am your father thing. The big idea is that he has to be the dark side in order to create balance in the Force and not just, the light side wins, which creates an interesting dynamic that you've never seen in Star Wars before about, that takes this whole concept of good versus evil and essentially, embraces this Taoist idea that light and dark have to coexist together. So it's possible that Kylo Ren is actually, he has to be the dark side. And this interaction that Rey has with Luke at the very end of the film signifies that, according to this theory, that Luke knows, and it's just this horrible feeling that the battle between good and evil, the light and the dark, have to fight, and one person goes out. You know, one person is able to walk away from it. And the fact that he has to train, you know, both, with the possibility of one of them dying.
I 100% love the second half of your theory. That no matter what happens to Kylo or what people want from Kylo and how much he's intertwined with all these lovable characters and his own internal struggle between the light and the dark, that he has to play the dark side to Rey's light side, and it's going to be like this Greek tragedy. I love that. And that dynamic is great, and that's going to make Kylo a much better character than Anakin ever was in the prequels. Let's be honest for a second. I think that whole part is fantastic. We said this time that like one of the things that we sort of reverted on was Maz, because she's appealed a lot more this time. I still don't know why they didn't pick Zoe What's-Her-Face to play her instead of Lupita Nyong'o, since
Zoe Saldana,
since she basically only plays alien people and or animated people, like, you know, mocap people, and she's worked with J.J. Abrams before, and I feel like she probably would have been a lot better suited, since this is kind of like her thing.
Yeah,
that might have worked a lot better than
Lupita Nyong'o has gotten like one movie.
Yeah, she got like 12 years
so
a Slave,
like she's not like
really.
I mean, she's a known actress, but she's not like a big known actress.
She's still like
why?
the up and coming actress, and like you hide her in like this little part that. I'm not saying like she did a poor job by any means, because she's Lupita Nyong'o, she's fucking fantastic, but like I think there could have been a lot more to it with somebody who was really experienced in that sort of acting. Yeah. And I don't believe that Lupita Nyong'o is. She's just still pretty new.
Yeah, and she's totally the not Yoda character in the movie.
Yeah, but you said that you felt that less this time.
Yeah, I did.
And I did too.
I did definitely, and you know, as much to even assert that implication that, you know, Maz might actually be Snoke in disguise.
But I don't get why. Why does Maz have to be Snoke for that whole thing to play out?
It's a theory, and plus...
Like she's controlling the strings on both sides in order to make the light side and the dark side go against each other.
Right, and that she has some understanding of, you know, the future, and...
But that just seems so convoluted that, like, she knows all this underground stuff, and she's a part of the Resistance, and she runs this business where she knows all these different characters, and she's, quote-unquote, not a Jedi, but she knows the Force, and she has this whole history, and, like... But then she turns around, and in her spare time, she projects a hologram on herself to the First Order in order to just like sort of mess around with shit. Like, I don't see that happening, and I would feel a little miffed if that turned out to be true.
Or it could be a relative of hers.
Like if the two of them were related, I could kind of. They don't even have to be like related by blood, but if they were working together. I could see that a lot more clearly than it being Maz. I could totally see like them meeting and like sort of figuring this shit out so they could both manipulate it.
Right.
I could 100% see that happening, kind of. So
that was my crockpot theory, though.
But like, I don't see her actually like sitting down and making these hologramic projections of herself in her spare time whenever, you know, Kylo Ren and not Hitler come in and are just like, dude, help us, Snoke. We don't know what to do. You know, I don't see that happening. I will say, hitting on that for a second, this film does a lot to really embrace the idea that this is the Nazis, and I will never know who this character's name is. I'm sorry, guys.
Donald Gleason, that guy? The guy who's basically
like, I don't
Tarkov.
know the characters. Yeah, I don't know the character's name, and I never will. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But he does such a convincing, like, drawing on the spirit of Hitler during that speech. Holy shit! Because one thing that's always, like, really befuddled me, and I'll say, is, like, one thing I always point out about cultural differences is that Hitler was very charismatic in Germany. But, you know, modern Americans looking at his speeches, it's just like, really? This guy? I don't get. Like, I personally am just sitting there like, why the fuck would people rally around him? Although, like, we see the same thing with Donald Trump now, so I can kind of see it now. But, you know, I was looking at this guy and was like, holy shit, you sat down and you studied Hitler. Like, you really get... And you had to translate it into English and, like, into this new speech, you know. The same way that, like, all these same
I mean, it was very borrowed from
Lenny
Riefenstahl's Triumph of the Will.
Yes.
The imagery, which is funny because, you know, you look at the end
this has been done a lot. Like,
yeah, but you look at the end of A New Hope, that, like, victorious ending is, like, almost, like, cut for cut. You know, Lenny Riefenstahl's Triumph of the Will, which is hilarious because it's the heroes, but, you know, in this case, it is actually, you know, the villains, and, like, obviously... You know, the whole thing is very paralleling
of
Nazi Germany. I mean, even including like the way that the soldiers are
like standing on the flags and
I know stormtroopers, but soldiers,
well, yeah,
whatever.
of course, because stormtroopers, of course.
Yeah.
But I part of it, you guys. I'm sorry, I was falling really ill the first time I saw the movie, which is part of the reason why we saw it again. Was because I was ill for a lot of it and Ren was concerned, so we were both a little bit distracted. So I think like I probably had like a particular fit at that moment, but it's just watching that again, I was blown away by this guy. I was like, holy shit. Like there are certain, I wish that there was a category in the Oscars for best performance by a character who only had like a major moment in one scene. You know, not like lead actress and supporting, like lead actor, supporting actor, but like best tiny minor character in a movie, and I'm like, can he get nominated for that? Because that was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, I'm curious to know if he's going to be in the next movie.
He's still alive. Oh well, no, he's not alive anymore. I mean, you don't see him die, so it's plausible.
Well, and now in modern times, if you don't see a character die, they're probably alive. But
yeah.
I mean,
especially Captain
Kylo
Phasma.
Kylo Ren is definitely alive.
Well, duh. I mean, of course he's alive. Like, duh.
Yeah, I mean, that's
if
like
he's
one
alive, it's possible that other people are alive too.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that Phasma and Finn are gonna have another interaction.
Well, because Phasma was a little bit too developed for her to die already without like any sort of real conclusion, but she wasn't developed enough for her to go ahead and die off and be done with.
Yeah, and Captain Phasma, I don't know the actress's name, but the actress is played by Brienne of Tarth. Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones.
Oh, really?
And
that's cool.
She actually had to fight for her role, you know, because she wanted to be a female stormtrooper, and you know, like she wanted to be like this big role, and like originally they were like skeptical, but like she was.
So
she was
did
great
they write the part for her?
I think they just maybe
Well,
I
That
don't know.
happens occasionally with people where like an actor comes in and does a really good performance, but not for who they're casting. Or they come in and like they kind of have like this idea for how they want to change the character.
Well,
so they
Samuel
L.
Jackson was included in the Star Wars prequel trilogy just because Samuel L. Jackson wanted to be in Star Wars.
Right, and like there were a lot of characters who just wanted to be in Star Wars and were just in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I mean, one of the major ones is on the show Glee. The God, I don't know any of their names anymore because I'm not a big fan of the show. But Kirk.
I don't think anybody ever watches it.
It doesn't matter. Kurt auditioned to play Artie's character. He's the guy in the wheelchair. And they were like, we like you a lot, but we don't like you for this person. So let's write an entirely new character just for you. And he became a much bigger character than the other kid ever was. You know, I could see that happening, especially with this idea of like, you know, let's have a chick who's in charge and like running shit. And she has like this whole thing with Finn and he's like, yeah, I'm in charge now. I'm in charge. And Han Solo's like, back it up. And he's like, sorry. Okay, no. I'm serious now. It's just so fucking cute. I love it. He's just so endearing. Oh.
Yeah. Watching it again this time, I thought that Han Solo's death was a little short.
Really?
Yeah.
Because our buddy we were with last time said that. I was like, nuh-uh, because they have the whole lead up to it, and they have the shots back and forth, and you have the little thing beforehand, and then you have the pause where he's
it's literally,
and then you
I
have
just
the move,
wish,
and you have the cuts back and forth. And then I was watching it again this time specifically with that in mind to see if it felt rushed. I was like, I think it would have been kind of weird if it went on longer.
maybe like 30 seconds. You know,
but like with what? What would you do? I mean, part of it is just the method.
Right.
It's a lightsaber. It's fairly instantaneous. I mean, like, look at Obi-Wan's death.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, boom, cut away, and you come back and he's fucking gone. You know, like, in comparison, I mean, this was really long and drawn out. So
Which so far we've only seen 2 characters that do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's just like, I disagree. I think they put a lot of weight into his death, and like, he's just, I don't think that there was a way to really draw it out more.
Okay. I mean, that's fair enough. I personally, you know, given my love of Han Solo, just...
Well, right, because you want more Han Solo, I know, but like, I still think that was one of the more weighty moments. Yeah. I mean...
It did have weight, and I mean, this is an interesting thing.
I love the part that like, Leia feels it, because she says before that she knows nothing bad has happened to Luke, because... if it had, she would feel it with the Force. And that's basically her only power with the Force, is she feels shit. So, like, it was good to have her feel it from afar, you know. And she knows what's up.
Yeah, which kind of sucks for Leia, because, like, everybody was, like, expecting Leia to become, like, a Jedi and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, well, she's a general.
Yeah.
You know, she couldn't be an admiral or, you know, somebody higher up, but she's a general. That's okay.
Well, the other thing, too, we don't see anybody really higher than her. Which is weird.
Well, because they were blown up. Remember?
Oh, everybody? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. But the other thing I'm going to go back on a little bit is that she does stuff. Like, we see her do stuff. It's just not really at the forefront. Like, you know, every time you see her almost that she's not with Han, she's doing her job. It's just not particularly interesting, I guess.
Yeah, and there was definitely a lot more support of her this time watching it than there was last time.
No, there was just a lack of
people
freaking out over all the other characters. And part of it was because most of the audience was like us, where they were saying it for a second or third or fifth time.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, it's gone now. We know everybody's here, yay.
Yeah.
Like, and nobody even cheered for the opening, like,
yeah, and I'm pretty sure that there are plenty of people listening that have actually seen this movie more than we have, which...
I mean, of course, yeah.
So...
But, going back to what you were saying about, like, you wish that was drawn out. When we saw it last time, you said this was the longest Star Wars movie. I was like, no fucking way. It doesn't feel like that at all. And then I watched it this time, and, you know, things feel longer when you know everything that's happening. And
it's really well paced.
It still feels shorter than all the other movies, which is a compliment.
Yeah, I mean,
it feels like it doesn't feel rushed.
The prequel trilogy, good. The pacing's all over the fucking place. Mm-hmm. And then I will say that watching the original trilogy over again, and I understand that George Lucas was like faster,
everything's
but
short and quick and boom, boom, boom.
And there are several moments in the first Star Wars movie where I'm like, slow down. Like this scene, just slow down. The one scene that I will complain the most about in the original Star Wars movie, blasphemy, I know, is when Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru
I agree.
Are killed. You know, it's like, he sees the body, and then it just
it's
cuts.
It's charred, and it's like fucked up. You're like, whoa!
Yeah,
and then there's... And then screen wipe.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what?
And I would have rather, in that moment, seen that, and then the transition to him going to Obi-Wan and saying, like, I want to become a Jedi and learn the ways of the Force. That would have worked better than cutting to something else about the Empire.
And then coming back to that later.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes scenes deserve their dramatic weight. And at the very least, with Han Solo, we stayed on the planet. We didn't cut away.
You know what I'm going to say in response to that, the thing about his them dying?
What's that?
Tra-la-la-la-la, dee-diddly, 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 tra-la-la-la-la-la-la. You know what I'm saying.
She's talking about Bambi.
I'm talking about Bambi.
Which is my favorite Disney film.
No, but it feels a lot like that, where it's like, her mother isn't here anymore. Okay, Pretty Birdies! We changed the scene!
No, that scene goes on a little bit longer.
Before. Like, it's longer before that line, but it's pretty abrupt in its, like, tonal change. You're just like...
there's like a fade to black. There's a fade to black. There is a transition. We gotta watch the movie again.
No. I know exactly what you mean. I'm saying, like, the tonal contrast feels the same. I'm not saying the filmmaking is the same or it's written the same. It just feels like that to me. Because before that, it's longer before that moment, but, like, as a kid, you're just like, what happened? Is she hurt? Is she okay? Maybe everything's okay. Like, you're just kind of, like, holding out hope. I'm just saying, like, from the perspective of a little kid. Hear me out.
But from a perspective of a little kid that didn't have entertainment that we have now, where, like, you have to see people die, everybody knew that his mom was dead. Like, all you had to hear was...
Like, no, I'm not saying, like, you don't think she's dead. You're just like, I hope she isn't dead. Maybe she's just hurt. Maybe she's okay. Maybe it wasn't hurt. And then you see the deer, and it's like, your mother isn't here anymore. And you're like, oh shit, she's really dead. Oh my god, Bambi's mom. Yeah. And then it's springtime, and it's pretty, and he's a lot older. It's like, whoa, wait, I was upset about that, you guys. You know?
Yeah. And in this movie, it's like, holy shit, everybody's favorite character in Star Wars just got killed.
No, not with this movie, but with the original New Hope. I'm like that with his folks. I'm just like, wait a minute, I was upset by that. That was disturbing. Don't pan away now. What are you doing? It's the same kind of feeling. Yeah. Where I'm like, dude. That was a very convoluted, roundabout way of comparing the two. It's the same feeling.
Yeah. And I guess, I mean, the obvious parallel is Obi-Wan's death in A New Hope.
Wait, to Han Solo?
Yeah.
Because, yes, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, Han Solo is the Obi-Wan surrogate in this movie.
I agree, yes.
And a lot of complaints about this movie are actually the fact that it seems like a remixed version of A New Hope. Which, even George Lucas said that he had some issues with that, which, honestly, fuck George Lucas.
Yeah,
Give us
Star Wars, you asshole.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, like, the fact that he has withheld his film from the National Film Registry. I'm sorry, once your film becomes part of the National Film Registry, it's theirs. It's society's. It's not your fucking movie anymore.
Yeah, all you need to do, and you will still sell a shit ton doing this, release them together. Release the originals with the director's cut, like the remastered edition.
And don't give the DVD thing that has like shitty fucking transitions and there's like a little bit of a blur and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean that's the closest thing that he ever did, but still it's fucked up.
Yeah. But here's the thing I'm gonna say about like this being a remix version of New Hope. First of all, you hired J.J. Abrams, the uber fanboy of screenwriting who isn't Kevin Smith. He's basically the world's second most famous fanboy after Kevin Smith.
Not Quentin Tarantino?
No. Tarantino is a cinephile. He is not a fanboy. Kevin Smith is a very particular brand of fanboy. And I love him for it. I'm never going to bitch about that, but fantastic. But Tarantino's not the same. Anyway, not the point. You got J.J. Abrams, who, with Star Trek, yes, people might complain that it's too much like Star Wars, slavishly made all these different references to the original, the original stuff, because he knew his shit. And he basically had him make the first draft of New Hope, not remake New Hope, but do the first draft with the original concepts. And you're immediately not going to have him in the rest of the series, and we know that going forward. I think that was a really smart idea, because people were really hesitant about this movie because of the prequels. And people were just hoping to God that we were not going to start having more shitty Star Wars movies than good Star Wars movies. So I think it's really fair to get people in this familiar, comfortable place as a good starting point so people can trust in the series. And from there, start doing your own thing and making it whatever you want, and that's cool. But just give it some of that original flavor so people are like, okay, we can trust
can get
this.
The bad taste of the prequels out of their mouths. Yeah.
Right, and you really can't go wrong by giving them New Hope.
And also to be fair, I'm almost 30. I'll be 30 this month.
Woohoo! Happy birthday!
And I fortunately was able to watch Star Wars, the original trilogy, before the first special edition came out in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And before, George Lucas really started tinkering with it. I'm sure many of you have the same experience, but like most of the people that I see that like the prequels experience Star Wars with the original trilogy being tainted.
Mm-hmm.
The original trilogy being, altered, and those alterations. So, those alterations become something that you become nostalgic about because that's what you experienced. I think that a lot of people like the original. I mean, a lot of people like the prequel movies because they watched it when they were young. They have nostalgia, and like we're in an era where like nostalgia is weird, man. Like I see people like fanboying over like stuff that's dumb, like TV
what?
shows.
Well, more than like fucking Shia LaBeouf and Transformers, because I've seen a ton of that. I'm sorry, you guys. I have a candy cane right now.
Well, I mean, like TV shows that, like, if you actually go back and watch, are fucking stupid.
Like what?
G.I. Joe. Sorry, G.I. Joe fans.
I never really watched G.I. Joe, so it's okay. I don't really know what you're talking about.
I think it's hilarious because it was during a time where, like, they wanted to have violence, but they wouldn't allow them to have violence.
What about, like, your buddy who thinks that the Transformers movies now are awesome, and that the Transformers cartoon from the past that was a fucking oil bath is shit?
Well,
there are people like that.
Well, fuck that notion.
Yeah,
I mean, there are a lot of people that, like dumb, mindless action movies, and
right, but there's better dumb, like mindless action movies than fucking Transformers.
Yeah, here's a perfect example. Turn your mind off and watch Mad Max Fury Road.
Turn your mind off and watch Terminator. Turn your mind off and watch any Star Wars movie that, from the original trilogy.
Yeah, you can totally turn your brain off
Force Awakens.
and still enjoy the movie just from a purely cinematic.
Or Conan. Conan's
oh
a
my
great
god,
movie.
fucking Conan.
That's okay. I have a list of movies that I've shown you. You like to say like, "Oh, you show me all your movies, blah blah blah, and whatever." But I've shown you some great fucking movies. And one of them is Conan.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I had to save him from buying a 2-pack because he's like, "Oh shit, this is Conan and Conan 2," and I was like, "No, put down Conan 2." I LaBeoufed it a little bit, like, "No." Who does it like that? And Randy does it. He's like, "No." And Conan 1 and 2, and he was like, "But why?" I was like, "Turn around and look at this," and he was like, "Oh, this went from rated R to PG." Or was it PG-13?
No, it was PG.
It was PG. And I was like, yeah, that's the reason you don't need fucking Conan 2.
Yeah, because, the thing I loved about Conan was it was, like, tits, violence, and, guy punching a camel.
with you! Oh, I love that part. Just like...
Yeah.
Crumb, help me. Help me do this impossible task. And if you don't listen to me, then fuck you. It was just,
Yeah.
How many times do you really want to do that? Just help me out, and if not, fuck you, you're an asshole. Anyway,
back to Star Wars.
Well, what were you saying about nostalgia? What's an example of something nostalgic that people like just because it's nostalgic?
Oh my god.
I know there are certain things that maybe when
dude,
you're a kid,
fucking 80s cartoon shows, most of them. You go back and you actually watch.
No, but how much do you see this happen outside of that guy with the glasses.com?
Oh, all the time. I literally see people watching Pokemon.
Oh. Like the 4Kids version?
Yeah, the 4Kids version of Pokemon. People, and they still enjoy it because their nostalgia goggles are thicker than Maz's glasses in this movie.
That's really pretty bad. When I was a kid, I fucking hated Pokemon because I hated the cartoon, and then I started getting into the games, and I'm like, holy shit, this is really good.
See, I played the games, and then the TV show came out.
Right, when I was a kid, that's all I fucking knew was the TV show. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
And then I started playing the games, and I'm like, oh god, I like this. Whoa.
Yeah.
Anyway. Now to play back to Star Wars. So.
So I'm actually really looking forward to what's going to happen with this trilogy. My biggest hope is that they are going to they're going to run with this idea of a conflicted Kylo Ren and this conflict with balance, which is much more interesting than just rehashing what the original trilogy did. My biggest fear is it's going to rehash the entire trilogy through in and throughout.
That's not the worst thing that could happen.
It's not the worst thing that can happen.
No.
I mean, like, honestly, J.J. Abrams actually wanted to put a Gungan corpse in this movie. I really wish they allowed him, but apparently George Lucas was like, no, you know, because he fucking...
for all the kitties they were selling the toys to, because you know they have to make a toy for every tiny minor character that's ever created, so they would have to make a Gungan corpse toy.
Yeah.
That would sell out in spades. But whatever, it's not like George Lucas or Disney is hurting for money. Whatever.
Yeah,
I will say this about Kylo Ren too. Like I said before, I was like, why is he so pretty? I get it now.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
I get it now because he's not fucked up like Darth Vader yet. But she did totally wreck his face this time, so next time he's gonna have like this nasty scar, and it's really just to play up like this thing that he's going through because we're watching him go through it. So I kind of get that now.
I also think he's gonna have a different mask in this movie. In the next movie, like I think his mask is gonna change with each movie, and the reason why I say that is because he did lose his mask. He did lose his mask on Starkiller Base or whatever.
I guess so.
Yeah. Well, he dropped it, and then he fought Rey and Finn without the mask. So you can make the assumption that mask is fucking gone. You know, he might recreate the mask, or he might use the Darth Vader mask. You know,
the Darth Vader mask is gone. I just thought of that. That makes me sad. That was really cool that he had like this relic of Darth Vader and it was all melted and fucked and shit. I loved it.
Well, yeah, because Luke burned it in Return of the Jedi.
No, I know why, but I love the fact that he had that.
Yeah.
You know, it's gone. That makes me sad. So, I don't know. I'm just pissed about the new movie coming out.
Rogue One?
Just because is directing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too. I just really like South Park. Yeah, because I mean the casting sounds great, and I really don't
Mads Mikkelsen.
Well, yeah, but the casting sounds great, and you know whatever. And this movie kind of like got me into okay, maybe Star Wars isn't gonna be such a big fuck up, but dude, he made one fucking mediocre movie. They handed him a whole fucking franchise, and it blew. And then he made another mediocre film. Then they handed him a much bigger franchise. Why do they keep doing this?
Well, apparently the guy who's directing the final Star Wars movie directed Jurassic World.
Jurassic World is a decent movie.
Yeah, but this guy only fucking.
But it was.
But this guy only fucking directed one thing. At least Rian Johnson, who's directing Star Wars Episode 8, directed Brick, Looper, the best fucking episodes of Breaking Bad,
and
Fly,
and those are
42,
all wildly successful.
and Ozymandias.
Yeah, and those are all wildly successful.
Wildly
Gareth
successful
Edwards
and
is not
critically
successful.
Well, and critically successful too. Which is one interesting thing that you have to point out is because just because a movie is financially successful doesn't mean that it's going to get a sequel. Because yeah, people might spend a whole bunch of money watching the first movie, but if it's shit, they will not watch the second movie.
They'll lose out on money from merchandising. They'll lose out money from DVD Blu-ray sales. They'll lose out money from all these additional plugins that they're doing, and then they're going to lose out money on the sequels because there's going to be people like me who like I tried to get into the MCU and I tried to really get into it and I tried to watch all these movies on Netflix and in the theater and I'm fucking giving up and I'm not watching MCU movies anymore. I'm not. I'm fucking done. I mean, it's mostly because I don't want to keep giving MCU my money.
It's funny because like Snoke is almost exactly
He's such
like
an
Thanos.
MCU villain. There are two MCU villains. There are exactly two. They're big and they sit in a chair. And, like, that's all they fucking do.
And then they get up from the chair. And then we have to wait. And everybody's telling me, oh, Thanos is so awesome. Dude, I've seen him in the movies.
It's not even just Thanos. It's the dude from fucking Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just like that, too. He just sits in a
No, that was
throne.
Thanos.
Oh, yeah. You're right. No, you're right. I like I said, I'm fucking giving up on this shit. I don't care anymore. You've got big dude who sits in a chair, and then you've got, oh, I'm just evil to be evil,
plus,
and now there's a bunch of
it
clones of me.
doesn't matter how cool he is in the fucking comics. He'll probably suck in the movie.
Well, that's true. But also, you've got big dude in a fucking chair, and then you've got, oh, hey, I'm here, I'm evil, and here's a million clones of me. And, like, those are the only two MCU villains you have outside of Wilson Fisk, who is easily the best MCU villain because he has no fucking competition. MCU villains fucking suck, and everybody knows it.
I don't know, man. The
Skunk is kinda like that.
the Netflix shit is cool. I like Jessica Jones. I like Daredevil. So
No, but I said besides those, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Like, anyways, you're gonna get people like me who, like, you're gonna have the people who won't watch other movies because they're only gonna see MCU movies. You'll have people who are like, I'm not gonna watch anything because I'm only gonna see the Star Wars movies. But then you're gonna have the people who are like, I'm sick of giving you my money. Fuck off. You know?
Yeah, and I'm really
you don't
hoping
lose
they
out
don't
on that.
fuck up with Star Wars like that.
Right, of course.
Because, from now till, I don't know when, we're going to get nothing but Star Wars movies, like, every year. I mean, obviously we're getting other movies, sorry. But we're getting one Star Wars movie every year until, God knows when.
I think that's a really shitty game plan. It's not working for MCU. It's already failing for DCCU.
Look at Ant-Man. If you want a good example of like how it's failing, look at Ant-Man. That is an MCU movie that actually did pretty relatively get good
reviews,
it did
but
get
just
good
did not
reviews,
do
but people are just
financially.
like, I don't know fucking Ant-Man. Why am I watching an Ant-Man movie? And
because Ant-Man and Wasp founded the Avengers. So people don't realize that. But
also Ant-Man created fucking Ultron. Ant-Man created Ultron, and obviously they didn't do that in the movie. And then you got Civil War,
which is not even fucking Civil War. We talked about this last time, but like,
yeah.
But my point is that like even Ant-Man's entire marketing strategy was on basing it off of the Avengers. And it still did financially poorly. It's not a good game plan.
The best marketing plan that they did with Ant-Man was to relate it to, like, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Well, right, but, like, all the posters and stuff where it's Ant-Man on Captain America's shield and it's Ant-Man on Iron Man's suit of armor, Ant-Man on Thor's hammer, even though none of these people are in the fucking movie. They're trying to, like, sell it on this idea. But my point is that it's not working with the MCU to crank out fucking 6 movies a year? This is a dumb fucking idea. DCCU is already failing and they haven't even gotten their 2 movies out yet. The only comic book movies I'm watching next year are not DCCU and not MCU, at least in theaters. Because I don't want to fucking give them my money. Maybe,
I don't know, is Gambit MCU or is it,
Is there a Gambit movie?
Yeah, Channing Tatum's gonna be Gambit.
Oh, I'm talking about Deadpool and the new X-Men movie.
Well, technically speaking, Gambit is part of the X-Men, which I don't know if
it's not MCU because fucking X-Men.
But I don't know if they got like that one character. Possibly. I don't know.
I don't think so, since Deadpool is not MCU and the X-Men are not MCU, and they already have like Gambit established in the X-Men movies. So I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
But
I like the fact. I like the fact that they are actually going edgier because it's like, well, we're not going to be Disney. Fuck it. Like, that's the best thing.
Everybody who fucking hates this shit.
That's the best thing about the Deadpool movie. It's like, we are the exact opposite of everything that you would expect from a fucking MCU movie.
And that is why they're gonna get my money, and the other fuckers aren't.
That movie is... I guarantee you, Deadpool is probably going to be the biggest surprise in the box office this year.
Okay, we'll revisit this back at the end of next year and be like,
I mean, there might be one of those movies, but, I do think that Deadpool is going to be a bigger surprise, and is going to help R-rated movies, which, I mean, I'm sick and tired of fucking PG-13.
Well, a lot of movies are being very successful now. There are R-rated movies. Mad Max Fury Road is an R movie for no good fucking reason. I don't know why the hell it's rated R, but it is, and it's
The
still...
baby. I told you.
Oh,
every
yeah.
time.
No, that's a very good reason to be... I mean, like, that scene is very upsetting. But whatever. Anyways, moving on. The Amanoliza movie that I'm gonna see, mostly because it's a Starburn Industry movie and I really want to support them, but that is rated R for having animated, not real nudity in it. Like, that's seriously why. I'm just like, what the fuck? They're not even real tits. Like, really, an R rating for anime? Anyway. Deadpool is going to be wildly successful for that reason. What else?
I think Deadpool is going to do better than Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman.
Oh my god.
I hope, actually.
Part of the reason, though, why these things are not going rated R is because they need to sell the merchandise to children. That is
they're
why
selling pop
Marvel...
vinyls of Deadpool.
Pop vinyls are not targeted at kids. Like, lunch boxes and costumes and, like, toys, you know, things like that. I mean, there's action figures, but then there's toys.
Hey, man, like, it used to be that, like, stuff like the Toxic... They made a kids show out of the Toxic Avenger, which is rated NC-17.
Yeah, but, like, that's what I'm saying, is they're taking these concepts and they're toning it down to at least PG-13, because kids can still see PG-13.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they made toys for the fucking Matrix, and all the Matrix movies were rated R. So, you know, there's hope.
Well,
and
yeah.
300, which was rated R, they made toys for and merchandise for and stuff like that.
For children? I think that was more for adult fans.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, when it comes to toys, who spends the most money? Adults or kids nowadays?
You mean parents?
Yep. I do mean parents.
No, because, like...
Okay.
No. Here's the reason why. If you think about it like this, kids obviously do not buy their own toys. But, you know, you see parents who are out of touch, and aunts and uncles and grandparents, and it comes around time where it's birthdays and it's the holidays. They don't know what the fuck their kids are interested in because nobody really, like, connects anymore. So they're not going to know, like, blah, blah, blah. But
Star Wars is easy now.
Exactly. They're going to know that this kid probably likes Star Wars, and they probably like the Avengers. Let me go to Target and get them, you know, a Captain America shield, or let me go and get them a fucking lightsaber. Yeah. You know? That's
you're
really
most likely going to please a child if you give them, like, something Star Wars
this one kid,
or something Avengers.
So this one kid probably has, like, 6 different people buying them stuff from the same franchise, as opposed to the one lone adult who buys an action figure for themselves.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Adults are paying the big bucks for the big toys.
Like, for the big toys, yeah, but...
I mean, like, for like the really well-articulated toys and stuff like that.
Yeah, those are more expensive, but how many units sell compared to how many units of the cheaper toys for kids?
I mean, I get your point, but to be fair, I mean, look at the success of The Walking Dead.
No,
And they're selling those toys in the fucking kids section.
Not
and
anymore.
Yet they get...
Oh,
yeah,
no,
they will.
Breaking Bad.
They get fucking mad at Breaking Bad because, drugs, but, you know, you got a guy with his fucking guts hanging out, and, like, apparently that's okay to sell to kids.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the fuck that
means.
Well,
violence is always okay. It's just the implication of drugs or the implication of sex. That's not okay.
Yeah, which is why they want to ban the Princess Leia now. You know,
that was one fucking dude.
Yeah,
dude,
but
every
at
story...
the same time, like, you know,
there's
like this whole controversy over this Princess Leia outfit.
No, but that's the problem with today is, like, one person complains.
Well, look at you complaining about fucking Rey's outfit. You're like, oh, it sexualizes her, you know, blah, blah, blah.
But here's the thing. I'm not saying ban it or don't have her wear it in the next one. I'm not going to go up to Target and be like, don't have this. Yeah. I'm not going to, like, fucking censor it. But now we live in a day and age where one person doesn't even have to be offended by it. One person can write a letter saying, somebody may be offended by this, and they'll fucking pull it and freak out.
Yeah,
it's fucking ridiculous.
And, like, that's the Star Wars that we're going to have now. Where it's like, you know, oh, we can't have anything too risque. I mean, that's the one thing that won't repeat. You know, like, if we're going to repeat the trilogy...
we're never going to have Rey in a bikini. Like,
yeah, we're not going to have Rey in a bikini. We're not going to have any character in a bikini. Maybe Carrie Fisher just to, you know, reinforce body positivity. But...
Which, for the record, she does not look any worse than Han Solo or Luke.
I don't know. I mean,
they're all old. I mean, like, let's face it.
I mean,
and it's fine.
To be fair, Harrison Ford looks the best out of all of them because, like, Harrison Ford is Harrison Ford. And he's always been, like,
no, but I'm saying, like, Carrie Fisher does not look bad. She looks fine.
She looks fine.
They all look old.
She looks 60 because she is 60.
Yeah, but Harrison Ford looks 60. He looks older than she does.
Well,
Mark Hamill looks 60,
well,
and it's fine.
to be fair, like
They're
Harrison Ford
old.
is
It's
actually
okay.
like older than them. He's like 10 years older than.
I know, but like, and he looks 10 years older, but it's fine.
At the same time, he looks better too. So it's hilarious.
But like, I don't give a shit. My point is like, I don't know who the fuck is saying that shit about Carrie Fisher because I haven't seen it, but apparently people are critiquing her for her body, and her body is a brain bag, and whatever the fuck. She looks fine.
Yeah.
For the record, she looks fine.
Yeah. So, let us know what you guys think. I know we got a little off.
That's what we do.
Off tangent, but yeah, I mean that's what podcasts do, and we consider ourselves.
I will say, not to name any names, but there are certain podcasts where like they broadcast, oh, this is going to be our subject, and they wait an hour and a half into their podcast to start talking about the podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
oh my god,
at
like
least
if they should start there and we get off on little tangents and come back, like.
Yeah, but compared to like a lot of other podcasts that we listen to, we talk about the actual subject that we're talking about more than most people do.
Well, at least like we don't wait an hour and a half to start talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like and then they'll talk about like fucking sports or something like that. It's like, dude, that's not even a fucking topic.
To be fair, I have noticed this about us, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be our own worst critic right now. We just tend to repeat the same thing from podcast to podcast, in terms of like, oh, the new superhero movie's coming out. Like, we cannot do a podcast without talking about it. But to be fair, who can go a day, like, what nerd can go a day without, like, talking about it again? I mean, really.
Yeah, stay tuned for it in our next episode where we talk about the movies of 2016. So, wait out for that.
Oh, we do plan on also reviewing some of the TV shows we watched, and hopefully we'll get around to that pretty soon.
Yeah. If you have anything to say about South Park season 19 or Fargo,
wait, we're gonna record that like in a second.
Season 2? No, we're doing the other one.
Okay, whatever.
But if you have anything to discuss about South Park or Fargo season 2, just leave it in the comments below or email us at allwalksoffilm@gmail.com. That's all one word.
Mm-hmm.
And we will actually read our email. So
I do want to say one thing real quick before you go, because I don't want to do a whole video about it. I saw Anita Sarkeesian's review of Star Wars today, and I noticed that we agreed on a lot of things. I am not going to rescind any of my views because, oh shit, Anita Sarkeesian agrees with me. Well, I'm going to take it back. No, I'm not going to take it back. I'm going to disagree with her about like some of her opinions on the Star Wars universe. Maz is not the first female tavern owner. We've seen B. Arthur do the same shit. She was a little bit more charismatic about it too. But I'm not just going to be like, oh, well, I got to take it back or I got to say why Anita's wrong. I actually agreed with her. I'm not gonna like back off from that. I'm going to say like, I don't love the new Star Wars movie because it has a white chick and a black man. I love Finn. I don't give a shit that he's black. It doesn't matter. He's a great character.
Yeah.
And I will say, because you had brought this up earlier, like, oh, there's going to be all this like all this stuff about, oh, they're going to have a woman for the sake of having a woman, and they're going to have like,
well, I mean,
diversity
because
for the sake of
the first character that we see in Rogue One is a woman. So I was just saying that, like, okay, well, I think that Disney might be trying to force their female characters down our throats.
Right, but based on this movie, and to be fair, this is the first movie,
Mm-hmm.
and I can get why you're saying that, mostly because it's a Gareth Edwards movie, and I can see that happening. But based on this movie, we've complained in the past about taking characters and making them so-and-so just because. Like making the female Thor and the female Ghostbusters. And we've had the complaint of, why don't you make better characters? Why don't you just make a better character and make them female? Take a better character and make him black. Take a better character and make him Indian. And based on this film, this is exactly what they did. They wrote better characters and cast them more diversely, and it works. Star Wars is doing it right. I like Finn because he's fucking awesome. And that's it. And he happens to be black, and I can still relate to him, and it's great. That's the right way to fucking do it. Don't fucking make female Thor and make her a shitty fucking character and expect me to like her because she has tits and says, how dare you say feminism like it's a 4-letter word? Like, I'm not gonna fucking agree with that.
Yeah.
But, this is the right way to do it. So I think, good for them. They're getting there. They're leading by example, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So that's my little liberal rant right there.
All right. So if you have more liberal rants or conservative rants or anywhere in between,
what do you think?
What do I think
Yeah,
about Anita Sarkeesian's little spiel?
Or what I just said.
I mean, I think, yeah, I agree. I think that characters should be characters, and like regardless of their gender, should be like fleshed out. I'm personally sick and tired of poorly written characters, regardless of their gender. Poorly written characters. I mean, I'm sorry if you like this movie, but like I personally we both watched this movie called Tangerines. Which
we should do a separate podcast on just that.
Yeah,
too.
we should.
But just in a nutshell.
I mean, I thought that it was an interesting idea, and it was like kind of cool that they made a movie on an iPhone, but like a movie has to be more than just a movie made on an iPhone, which every review that you hear is going to talk about, oh wow, isn't it amazing that they shot on an iPhone?
Which, by the way, like, they're not the first fucking feature-length film to be shot on an iPhone. My high school film teacher made a feature-length film on an iPhone.
Yeah. But, I mean, that being said, like, the characters were weak, I thought, and, I'll probably get more into this later, but, I thought that they didn't really show the trans community in a positive light, which the trans community, like, needs positive lights because, I mean, like, Caitlyn Jenner, like, what the fuck? We'll continue on with our South Park thing about that one, but, yeah.
But with Star Wars.
With Star Wars, I mean, like, I don't want Star Wars to turn into this social justice corrective thing where it's like every movie has to have a female and a character of ethnic minority, and then now I'm seeing like, oh, there's a petition to have a trans character in a Star Wars movie. Okay, that's just
fucking stupid, and here's why I'm going to say that. Where is it going to come up? Oh, hey, are you a boy or a girl? Well, I'm actually trans, and let me go into a whole spiel about it. Star Wars is not the time or place for that. Now, if you had a character and you happen to cast a trans actor to play this character, and that's what you decided to do, that's fine. I'm on board with it, but don't, like, fucking write up a character for the sake of that. What the hell?
Yeah, I really hope that Disney doesn't, like, couch out to those people.
But, I think that with this film, I liked every character because of who they were. I didn't really care about what they were.
Well, I mean, yeah, so, yeah.
So I think they did a good job about making things like that secondary to their personality. And I think that's more important. I think we do need to get to a point where there is more diverse casting. We're a very diverse, we're a diverse community. Like, a lot of people like to compare, I mean, it's particularly British YouTubers, and specifically people I have in mind, like to be like, oh, but if you go to Africa, all the representatives are black. And, the UK is predominantly white, but America is supposed to be like this big melting pot of different cultures. And I think it's really good to see
especially
that
with
when it's okay.
And also with sci-fi.
That's always been a thing in sci-fi.
That's always been a thing with sci-fi. I mean, like...
Fuck the people who say that there's no black people in science fiction. Fuck that.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
garbage.
Like, the eye, the ear, and the arm is like an African sci-fi story.
Right.
I mean, you got the wind-up girl. You got the wind-up girl that's a fucking story that takes place in Thailand.
Who's one of the most acclaimed science fiction directors of our times. Yes, he's a white guy from South Africa who, made a whole movie. Well, to be fair, Chappie really did need to, like, that was a little weird. But, like, District 9,
Yeah.
was freaking awesome for that. Anyway, Star Trek, Star Wars had. I'm sorry, Lando is one of my faves. I love him. He's just so charming and like, I love it. Like, I can't help it. He's cool. And then he hangs out with Leia, and I'm just like, you got really squirmy.
All right, so
anyways, my point is I just think it comes down to casting. I don't think you need to always. Sometimes it is important. Sometimes the perspective is important. We talked about this with like Ex Machina and that kind of stuff. But I just think that it's something that needs to be more in tune with casting. There's no reason to make your casting call always specify like Caucasian.
Yeah, I get pissed off at like
or like
students.
attractive.
Well,
that's the other
yeah,
thing
I get
too.
pissed off at like
attractive Caucasian in their mid-20s. It's like why? Why does it have to be that niche?
People did actually make complaints about the Star Wars casting call. Do you remember this?
No,
because that was literally some of the things that they put.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the casting for Rey, attractive, like fit,
well,
you know,
she's
blah,
very
blah, blah.
attractive and fit.
Oh
I
my
mean,
god,
like,
Daisy.
a little too much.
Yeah.
But still,
yeah.
Whatever.
And they play that shit down just so the guys don't faint.
But still, like, I go to work the next day and they're like, I am, they have girlfriends or whatever. It doesn't matter, but they're like, oh my god, I'm in love with Daisy. She's so beautiful. Yeah. And it's like, even when they downplay her, she's still fucking gorgeous. And it's fine. Anyway, your point about the casting call.
My point is, like, just, like, you don't have to, like, I understand that you, like, might have an idea in your mind of, like, what the characters look like. Mm-hmm. But especially in sci-fi where, like, the rules of, like, racism and, like, societies and all this kind of stuff, like, you don't have to have that shit in fucking everything. You don't have to have, like, fucking supermodels and everything. That's why I can't watch anything from this fucking CW.
Well, yeah.
Because,
it's
like, everybody
it's
looks like a supermodel. The dudes, the chicks, like...
Yeah, and to be fair, I want to say, like, when I say attractive Caucasian, I am not identifying male or female, because anybody who wants to say, like, oh, but there's this industry standard that women have to be gorgeous. Fuck you, men have to be just as gorgeous.
Well, here's
Actors,
the thing. Women have to be...
anybody.
Women have to be
fucking
women
gorgeous
have to
too.
be gorgeous and, like, relatively, like, thin. They don't have to be fit. They have to be thin. That's
We've seen that with Wonder Woman.
I mean, like, they have to be thin or fit, which is two categories. Guys. Now, let me clarify, because you're either the funny guy or the straight guy, and you could be like whatever fucking body type. But if you're gonna be the action hero, you better fucking have ripped abs. You better have bulging muscles and a gorgeous face. And if you don't have that, you better hit the gym like Chris Pratt did.
Well, oh my god, he was such a cutie even before that happened, though, and I really just think he's attractive because he's funny. I mean, yes, let's look at Jurassic World for a second, where he's, in those really tight pants, and you're just like, oh my god. But, I'm sorry, tangent. But see, that's what it fucking does. Musicians have to do the same fucking thing. Lady Gaga wants to be like, oh, but it's a boys club. It's like, who is a mainstream musician who isn't dropped it? Like, who's a weird-looking dude who's a real musician now? I mean, like, Pitbull is, like, really kind of gnarly looking, but, after that, like, what, CeeLo Green? That's, like, as bad as you can get.
The lead singer of Radiohead has, like, this weird lazy eye thing.
When has Radiohead gone, like, play on, like, in a diner or a club in, like, the past year?
Okay. Like, I was like...
No, I'm saying now. I'm saying the industry standard today. Yeah. I'm not saying... Radiohead, of course. I mean, duh, but... People don't make music like Radiohead anymore.
Yeah. So, I mean... Yeah.
Lady Gaga is one of the most unattractive people. So, and that is not to say that she's unattractive, but she's fucking gorgeous. But I'm saying on a
at the very least, Adam Driver, all our complaints that we have... He's fucking weird looking.
But I don't have an issue with him necessarily because he's weird looking. I just don't think he was the right fit for this part.
No. I kind of wish they actually went with a prettier actor. But that's my take on it.
I don't know that I necessarily need prettier. I just kind of...
Well...
It's not...
It might fuck with the audience's emotions a little bit more.
Maybe. I really think one of the biggest things is just, like, this is... Like, it's not a conscious thing I'm thinking about, but I think there's a subconscious thing of, like, trying to see a father and son talk to each other when, like, they're clearly nothing the fuck alike. That's more of my issue with his looks than the fact that he's funny looking. Because, I mean, I think, like, he's kind of endearing in the way he looks. I don't have a problem with it in general, but, like, just for this part, I just think it's weird.
Yeah. All right, so let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you later.
Well, wait.
Oh.
I know we keep trying to end it, but like with the casting, I think what's really important is like if there is a need for an age gap for like a real reason for the plot, put that. And if you really need something like must know how to play the guitar or something like that, or if you're making a film that's a period piece and like race is actually an issue or gender is actually an issue, maybe put that. But really, if it's not necessary, you should keep it as ambiguous as possible and see what comes up and pick someone based on that.
I mean, my most recent film, I literally had racially ambiguous stuff, and I cast 2 white people because they were the best performers.
Right. Well, it wasn't even that they were the best performers, but they had the best chemistry.
Yeah, they had the best chemistry, and like I didn't have the time to do like.
Right, but you're not like a big Hollywood movie where you're going to see so many people every time you have an audition.
Right, yeah.
You know.
How many fucking people did they audition for Star Wars?
Exactly.
Holy shit. And then they hired John Boyega, who's been in another movie that everybody fucking knows, Attack the Block.
Right. But he's just so endearing.
And then they, like, Daisy Ridley is like the only new fucking person that they cast. So all these... You guys probably waited in fucking line to fucking do all this shit, and then they cast one new person.
Well, no,
from fucking Britain.
But my point is that I think Star Wars is a good
because
example
American
of why.
actors, you know, they're gonna pick a British actor over an American actor every fucking time. And if you don't believe
anywhere
me,
that's not America is
if you
Britain.
don't, if you don't believe me, look at all the fucking DC superheroes.
Yeah, I know, but
Superman, all American hero, British. Batman, all-American hero, British. Both time. Well, actually, no. The newest one is from Brooklyn, so I mean, not Brooklyn, Boston.
Oh, okay. But
and then you have some chick from fucking Iran or.
It was kind of gross looking.
Yeah.
But the thing I'm thinking about the casting is this is a good example of what can happen if you just like let shit happen. You don't necessarily need to like directly make, we should make this a minority just because.
Oh, and I apologize because I do know that we have British listeners. I have nothing against the Brits.
It's just not the entire world besides America is Britain. Like, this is a specifically Hollywood problem.
Yeah, and
American Hollywood problem.
And also, like, you know, I mean, like, look at the show The Walking Dead. Like, why did you have to have Rick, who's a Southern person, played by Brit? And then
because he looks really good with a scruffy beard. I guarantee that has more to do with it than his fucking accent.
Okay. Well,
I guarantee it.
Well, the character originally didn't even have a scruffy beard.
No, but he was going to. It's a post-apocalyptic show. You know he's going to get the scruffy beard. He's got to look good while he does it.
Okay. Well,
but my point is you don't need to have mid-20s attractive Caucasian just as your default, just for the sake of having it.
Yeah.
Unless you really need it. And I don't think you really need it.
Yeah,
in most cases. Not always. It's not a steadfast rule, but in general.
Like, I mean, listen to our other podcasts. We are not social justice warriors. We're not like, we need a trans handicap, person of mixed race in every fucking movie. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is like, you don't
need a default of what Hollywood should be doing. I mean, case in point, like, for example, if I was going to cast a movie, and even if I was just going to say attractive, whatever the fuck, I'm just going to say she needs to be stunningly attractive, whatever the fuck. And I get Megan Fox and Lupita Nyong'o. I'm not going to, make a little notation, she has to be Caucasian and end up with a fucking Megan Fox, when Lupita Nyong'o can walk in and blow me away and look a lot more gorgeous anyways. But
unfortunately, if they're going to talk about...
she's really attractive, but I'm saying if that was
unfortunately,
necessary.
If they're going to talk about, the sex appeal actress, they're probably going to go with Megan Fox because this,
But she even kills your boner. You fucking know it. She doesn't even get sex appeal for you, let alone me. But I have weird tastes. So
what? Megan Fox?
Yeah.
Because she's boring.
She's boring. She has non-expressionless face. You don't like her fucking makeup. I think.
Oh my god.
A lot of guys really don't like her fucking makeup.
She's fucking gorgeous without the fucking makeup. That's half of it. I've seen her without this fucking Egyptian fucking thing that she does with her fucking eyes.
For example. Okay. We just saw Let's Talk About Kevin.
We need to talk about Kevin.
Yeah. Tilda Swinton is a brilliant actress, and she is not traditionally attractive. I think
but she's also the best actress to convey
wait.
gender ambiguity that there ever fucking existed.
Right, but let me get my point out. I happen to think she's very handsome. Like, I really do. But she's not traditionally attractive. She doesn't look like a supermodel. She doesn't look like Kristen Bell. Whatever. There is no need in this movie for her to look attractive or unattractive. She has to be a woman. And she does have to be, like, they do have to identify race because they're a family. They're a biological family. And that's important. And they did a really good job making sure all the kids look the same, So there are certain features like that you need to have for consistency. But for example, you have Caucasian female. She needs to be in a certain age range to be a mom. You don't have to say that she has to look fucking attractive. And you could get Tilda Swinton, who does an amazing fucking job and is brilliant,
Yeah.
I would say Tilda Swinton over Megan Fox any day because I think she's very handsome. But, totally not the point.
Yeah, so definitely casting is something that needs to change.
Yeah. Just especially in America.
Yeah.
We are supposedly this cultural melting pot of the world. What's wrong with having that?
And I hate to sound like a social justice warrior saying this, but, look at the casting directors. Rich, white women. Oh, sorry, that's not a minority compared to, when you're talking about social justice warriors, because white women is a racial minority. Like, blows my fucking mind, but apparently that is the truth.
Yeah, they want to say at the same time, like, oh, they're a minority, and, but women are more than 50% of the population, which is true. But
yeah. So, yeah.
I know, I'm not going to back down from my views just because people I traditionally don't agree with also agree, because that's the big thing that we've had with social justice warriors is we're kind of on the same idea,
and at the same
not through the same means.
Yeah, and at the same time, predominantly African American things shouldn't have like the casting director of fucking Tyler Perry movies, So I mean, I do think it's sad that if you have like a predominantly black movie, it's like every fucking African American actor that you know of is in that one movie. It's kind of sad, It's like they're people looking for work.
You've had a complaint for a long time, and I definitely 100% agree with you. Is that how many fucking Asian people are there in the world, and how come you can't have Asian American actors? And how many do people really know are that really prominent, or are in movies that are basically supposed to be Japanese movies for America?
Yeah.
I mean, that freaking the new animated movie that's coming out that's like the Kubo and the two-string whatever, and it's all-white cast and George Takei. Or like Godzilla, where it's an all-white cast and Ken Watanabe. Or like Pacific Rim, where it's not an all-white cast, and then you have Kumiko in there. It's just like, how many hugely talented people could you get if you just open your fucking casting?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to necessitate it every time, but
right. But to be fair, Star Wars did a better job than most.
Right. And I think this is a good step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Have good characters first, have this diversity second, and everybody's fucking happy.
Yeah.
Rey's not a character because she's a girl. Finn's not a character because he's black. They're people. That's the best representation you could do.
Yeah, and bullshit, fan petition, whatever.
Well, don't have it for the fucking sake. Just for it. There's no point. If you have casting, open casting calls and somebody comes in and they're a trans actor and they blow you in and great for the part and you put that in, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. That is fine. 100% okay. But don't sit down in your office and make this whole backstory about how this person is trans for no fucking reason other than just because you hope that reviewers will give you an extra little boost just because, whatever.
Oh, how progressive they are.
I mean, the same thing would go for, a woman or anything else. It's just...
No.
To be fair, the original trilogy featured a woman very heavily. This new movie...
Granted, she was a princess, but yeah.
At least they changed that part. I mean... God, don't you know that princesses just sit on their asses and look pretty? What the fuck, Leia? Running around and actually shooting people and trying to help out? Fuck
doing it all with no bra.
Yes. Fucking wonderful. I love it. Now you have a film that's being held up by a man and a woman, and that's fine. And it fucking works. That's all I'm done.
So let us know what you think. Put comments below. Sorry we did go a little long this time, but we're a podcast, so
Yeah.
I guess it's permitted. Take care.